Some of you might know that I'm half Korean, half English, and I'm always kind of looking for ways to take English food and Korean food and kind of put them together. And I know English food isn't the greatest, and that's kind of the reason why I want to try make sort of English Korean fusion foods. And one of the most quintessentially British things is a pie. So I was kind of thinking, what if we took kimchi jjigae, which is a kimchi stew, delicious, one of my favorite Korean foods, and make it into a pie. Once again, pies are delicious as well. But, you know, sometimes those pie flavors can get a little bit boring. So let's try making a kimchi jjigae pie. Now the idea is to actually just make this as simple as possible. So we're not gonna go for too many ingredients. I just wanna get sort of like that base kimchi jjigae flavor in there. So I'm cutting this down to sort of like the bare essentials. So let's get started. First up is the pork. These chunks are a little too big though, so I'm gonna cut these down a little bit. So what I do is just cut these up into quarters, just into little chunks like that. I think that's a good size. I think I might cut off any fat like that as well. I've only got enough pastry to make 3 small pies, so I'm hoping that's enough meat. The most important thing now is kimchi. I'm using a kimchi that was homemade, and this now is probably 8 or 9 months old, so this is a really good aged kimchi. You preferably want aged kimchi for this kind of stuff because it's going to be a lot stronger. It's going to make it taste a lot better. I'm going to try and keep everything sort of like a consistent size. I'm going to throw in some of this juice as well. I almost forgot to cut up the tofu. I went and bought tofu, and this is tofu for cooking. It's much firmer, so it won't fall apart. And again, I'm going to cut this into the sort of like same sizes as everything else. About that big. I've also got some gochujang here. You can just go get any gochujang. This is just the one that I always buy. For this much, I'm going to start off with a nice big tablespoon of gochujang. Add the pork and the kimchi. I throw my garlic into a blender and I freeze it in these bags and make little notches so that they're easy to break apart. So I'll put one of them in. Green onions, I just cut them up, put them in this container, and then freeze them. And then they kind of freeze like individually like this. So it's perfect for just throwing straight into dishes. And then the last thing is a bit of gochugaru, which is Korean chili flakes. If you haven't realized already, this is going to be spicy. I really want this to be a lot more meaty since this is going to be a pie. The idea is to make a kimchi jjigae without any of the actual soup wateriness to it. So I'm just trying to add all the flavors that would be in a kimchi jjigae. And then I'll see if I need to thicken this up or add any liquid to this, but I don't think I'm going to need to. I'll use this opportunity to also add maybe like half a tablespoon of sugar. You can use honey as well. You might have noticed I haven't added the tofu yet. I'm going to add the tofu right at the end because tofu is quite delicate. If I put it in at the beginning with everything like this, it's going to overcook and it's also just going to break apart. So I was fully prepared to have to thicken this with cornstarch, but I think this is going to be okay. Like I said, I'm going to be using these pre-made puff pastries, but they only come in this size. So I'm thinking to use this sort of pie Yorkshire pudding tin. I think if I stretch these out a little bit, I should be able to make them fit. They are quite thin though, so I'm hoping they stretch enough. Now I just have to let these defrost because they're still frozen. These have defrosted now to the point I think I can stretch these out into the tray. So I got 6 sheets, so I'm going to make 3 pies because I'm going to need 1 for a base and then 1 to cover the top. Might not work in these. See, this is too deep. Slightly flour this surface. I'm hoping this being so thin won't be a problem. This is what we've got. So we're going to try and make this work. Start filling these up as well. I definitely made a bit too much filling for this. It wouldn't have been a problem if the puff pastries fit in this tray properly, but I'm gonna have to fill these a bit lower than I wanted to. I almost forgot the tofu. I'm just gonna drop the tofu on top here. Let's make a quick egg wash. I almost broke that shell in there. I'm just gonna use this to paint around the sides here. This should hopefully help seal this up really well. Okay, let's try this. Take a sheet. The top's gonna be a lot thicker. I'm gonna push this all the way down and then use a fork to crimp it down to really seal it in. Cut off the excess just to make this look a little bit cleaner. Let's quickly do the rest. This might be the most difficult bit. But this is going to make them look so much cleaner as well, hopefully. And I'm just going to give these another quick re-crimping. I just realized this video is going to be a bit of a hectic mess. And then we'll just make a little slit in the top to let any air escape. I just had a great idea. I'm gonna give these a final egg wash on top. Instead of just throwing them in like this, I've got toasted sesame seeds, which I'm gonna throw on top, because usually you'd put sesame oil in the jjigae, but this way we can also get that sesame flavor. Now these are going to go in the oven at 180 degrees for maybe, let's do 15-20 minutes to start with, maybe even less, just until these are nice and puffed and golden brown. I just pulled these out of the oven and I'll be honest, they look actually really good, but I'm going to let these cool off completely because they're going to be quite fragile right now. If I try to pull them out, I think they're going to fall apart. Those came out so nicely. Look at that. I'd say it's almost perfect. Whoa. Look at that. I know this is going to taste good because the filling was good when I made it, but just adding this into a pie, it's going to be so good. With the tofu as well now, oh, so good. Everything is cut to like the perfect size, so you're not like pulling stuff out as you take a bite. This puff pastry is quite buttery though, which is one of the problems I had with this pastry before. It's a bit buttery, it's a bit sweet. I would prefer it to be less sweet. I'm telling you, anyone out there who owns a pie shop, you better start making this pie because it's delicious. I'm giving you this one for free. I don't know if it's been done before. And of course, if you've got anything else you want to recommend I try, if you've got any crazy ideas, not too crazy though, but just interesting stuff that you want me to try, make sure you leave a comment below as well because I'm going to keep doing this. This is really fun. Anyway, for now, goodbye everyone.